So what's living on autopilot?
Living on autopilot is it's when your past programming runs your present life and you keep telling yourself this is just how things are. It's it's the difference between unconscious reaction and conscious action. It's all about becoming aware of what's going on around you and what's going on inside of you. Like can I give you an example from my personal life? Um, I used to weigh 367 pounds. Today I weigh about 145 pounds. I used to go through my day. It was pretty much on autopilot. I would wake up at a certain time. I would go to work at a certain time. When 11 o'clock rolled around on the clock, I'd get in the car. I'd go drive to the Chinese buffet at the restaurant. I'd go eat the Chinese food. I'd pig out. I get big. Now I'd go back to work and get my work done. And I'd go home. I'd sit on my butt. I'd eat dinner. I'd watch some TV. And then I'd get up the next day and do it over again, over again, over again, and over again. It's, we fall into patterns in our lives. And patterns can be very powerful or patterns can be very disabling. It depends on whether or not the pattern is having you do something that's good for you or having you do something that's bad for you. Um, Let me expand upon my example. As I was getting ready to turn 50 years old, which that may seem like a long way away for someone like you, but as I was getting ready to turn 50 years old, I was on autopilot. I was 320 pounds at the time. Um, I hadn't had a heart attack yet, hadn't had a stroke yet, you know, but I asked myself, where am I going to be in 5 years if I keep going the way I'm going? In other words, on autopilot. And the answer was dead. And I didn't want to be dead. So I said, something needs to change. Right then and there, I turned to my wife. I said, I'm cooked. I'm cooked. I'm done. I'm done playing this game. I am wasting my potential. I can be so much more than who I am. Time to go make it happen. So I said, I'm going to start eating better, learning to eat better right now. I'm going to start learning to exercise every day if my body can hold up to it right now. And my exercise of choice is going to be walking. I picked walking because I figured you didn't need a lot of special equipment. You could do it almost anywhere you wanted to go. I figured it would beat my body up less than other forms of exercise. And now, 17 years later, I can tell you I was right. But so I said, okay, I didn't use the term autopilot at the time. But looking back at it, I was on autopilot. So instead, I said, what do I need to do to get from where I am to where I want to be? I took personal responsibility. I didn't blame anybody else. And while I was at it, I didn't even blame myself. I just said, what I need to do to fix it. And then am I going to go fix it? That's all it is. Because when we start blaming and feeling guilty and all this other crap, that just gets in the way and that starts messing with our heads. And that's no good. So I said, okay. I immediately quit drinking alcohol. I was drinking scotch every day. And I said, the scotch does not serve me. I serve it. So I said, no more alcohol. Quit it. Haven't had it in 17 years. Don't miss it. Those 2-liter bottles of soda pop, I was drinking 3 of those a day. Yeah, that's pretty bad. I quit those. And I made a few other changes as well. And then I started walking. I started doing it. Now, in the beginning, when you're trying to break autopilot habits, it's your autopilot is just think of it as your habits. And are they good habits or are they bad habits? In my case, most of my habits, not all of them, I mean, going to work was a good habit. Getting my bills paid was a good habit. Taking care of my wife and family was a good habit. Those were good things. But a lot of the other things I was doing were bad things. So it's all about analyzing your habits. And if you have a bad habit, breaking it right then and there. So first of all, you have to identify it as a bad habit. You have to realize it's a bad habit, but then breaking it. And then saying to yourself, these are some new habits I should put in their place, like eating better every day, eating good food, making sure when I go to the grocery store, I only buy good, healthy food. I don't buy crap. Making sure I don't go to Burger King, McDonald's, anywhere else and eating that crap. So, and then walking every day. So it's about identifying your habits and changing your habits. And as you start forming new habits, your days stop blurring together. Each day is a new day. It's not the same thing as the day before. And you start consciously choosing what you want to do as opposed to unconsciously doing what you've always done before. Now, autopilot's normal. It gets turned on all the time. We learn it in our families. It's how we get through life every day. It's how we go to work every day. It's how we get stuff done, but it's not a life of intention. Well, what I want to suggest to the people listening is something different. First of all, everything I'm about to tell you can be a little bit scary. When you start thinking about changing your life, it can be scary. So the first thing you want to do is you want to change your mindset about fear. Fear can either be forget everything and run, or it can be face everything and rise. I'm going to tell you right now, most of the good things you want in life are on the other side of fear. So it's learning to face your fears, to work through your fears. First of all, it's okay to feel fear. That's normal. I want to start right now. We are all human beings. You're a human being. You have done some very wonderful things in your life before, and you've probably made some royal screw ups before. Well, guess what? I did too. The key is to become conscious of what you're doing, be conscious of what you want to do, and then adjusting your habits so that you're more likely to get from where you are to where you want to be. So now, this whole thing, like I said, it can be scary. I want to show you another way to look at it to make it even a little bit better. All these things that I decided I needed to do to get my life together, to go from this to this, I stopped telling myself I have to do these things. I started telling myself I get to do these things. It is a privilege. You can literally change your life with one word. Stop saying you have to do something. Start saying you get to do something. So all these things I'm going to suggest to you, you get to do them. If you are still alive and you are still breathing, you get to do these things. And now one other piece of the puzzle to add in on this. I'm a pretty confident guy. I've always been a pretty confident guy. Yet somehow or another, I managed to get up to 367 pounds. But So obviously I wasn't perfect, but the experience of losing this weight and going from being a person who had trouble walking 2 or 3 blocks to a person who walks 10 to 15 miles every day. I mean, every day. It blew my mind. It made me realize 2 things. The first one affects me, and the second one affects you listening. The first thing was it made me realize that I am more powerful than I ever imagined. Seriously, I can do more than I ever imagined. And the second thing it made me realize is that if I am more powerful than I ever imagined, so are you. You are more powerful than you ever imagined. Believe it, feel it, know it. I've not met any of the people who are listening to this podcast, but I'm telling you right now, I know from experience and belief that you have it in you to be more than you ever imagined. So it comes down to starting to imagine bigger, greater, bolder, more powerful things, and then figuring out what you need to do to get there, and then doing it. And some things to realize, this is a long-term process. It is not something where you're going to go and the problem is instantly solved. You know, the person here in the picture on the left is nothing like the person on the right. But mind you, it has been 17 years in the process. Did not happen overnight. I made mistakes along the way. Some things I did right, some things I did wrong, some things I did better, some things I did worse. But the important thing is I started and I kept going. So that's what all of you need to do. That is what all of you get to do. It is a privilege. So the question becomes, where are you at in your life? What do you want? Let me ask you, what is the typical age of the typical listener of this podcast? Okay, between 25 and 40. That's been, you know, 25 years for me, but still not that far. I still remember it. And to show you how well I remember it, in a lot of ways, I feel more like I am 35 than I do 66 because my health is much better now at 66 than it was at 35. I do what I do, my daily routine. I could not have come anywhere near doing it when I was 35. I couldn't have done it when I was 30. I couldn't have done it when I was 25. It all goes back to that more powerful than you ever imagined stuff that I was talking to you about. So what I'm suggesting here is that realize the life you live, the life you want to live, is not something that's going to be handed to you. It's not something that's going to be given to you. It is something that you need to consciously create, that you get to consciously create. It's all about being conscious. So, so it starts down. What do you want? Do you want more money? Do you want a better job? Do you want a better girlfriend? Do you want a better boyfriend? Do you want a house? Do you want kids? Do you want a better car? Do you want to help other people? What is it you want? Figuring out what you want. Becoming aware to stop fooling ourselves, to take the time to ask ourselves, what is it we want? And when I say take the time, I'm suggesting 15 minutes a day. Let's make this easy. I don't care who you are. I don't care how busy you are. Surely you can find 15 minutes a day to focus on yourself. And you want that time to be quiet. You want to turn off the TV. You want to turn off the radio. You want to turn off YouTube, whatever it is you're listening to. You want to turn it off and you want to sit with yourself and you want to think. Think about where you are. Think about what you want. Think about where you want to be. So that's key right there. Consciously. See, that's conscious action. To sit there and say, I have a set time every day where I'm going to do this. And the best way to do this is to set up a routine. You sit there and you say, this is what I do during this time of day. Let's give you an example, make it easy. Say you go to work in the morning, you get up, you put on your clothes, you go to work and you might eat something, you might have some coffee, whatever, and you go to work. Well, start getting up 15 minutes earlier. And when you get up 15 minutes earlier, the very first thing you do when you get out of bed, or you can even do it when you're still in bed, as long as you're actually doing it. But getting out of bed helps, get the process going. So you get out of bed, you go sit in a comfortable chair in another room or somewhere else, whatever, and you can set your phone for 15 minutes or you can leave it off, whatever you want to do. You set it for 15 minutes and you think. And if you don't even have 15 minutes, you can do it for less than that. I mean, I have in between my exercising sessions, I will sit there, I'll go sit in a chair in the other room and I set my phone for 8 minutes. And then I sit there and I shut my eyes and I relax my body and I think. And I do that several times a day. And that way you start becoming conscious. How do you feel? What do you think? What's going on? What problems do you have to deal with? What are some of the good things that you have going for you? Those kinds of things. So setting aside time to be intentional. Now realize this is a long-term process. You didn't become the way you were overnight. You're not going to become the new you that you want to be overnight. The important thing is that you get started and you keep going. And once again, don't blame anybody. Don't blame someone else. Don't blame yourself. Blame is irrelevant. Blame does not fix problems. All that fixes problems is taking appropriate actions to fix problems. Now, next thing is embrace change. Don't fear change. Change is a good thing, because think of it this way. If you want your life to change, by definition, something has to change. If you don't change anything in your life's never going to change. That's just the way it is. And think about it. It's kind of silly that we keep waiting for stuff to change when we're not willing to change anything ourselves. Then start and also ask yourself, what are you focusing on? Are you focusing on the good stuff? Or are you focusing on the bad stuff? Like, for example, here, start using the word can. Stop using the word can't. Start focusing on the positive. Stop focusing on the negative. Start focusing on the good. Stop focusing on the bad. Engage in positive self-talk. Stop with the negative self-talk. Tell yourself how good you are. Tell yourself how powerful you are. Start paying attention to the words you use. Your brain believes everything you tell it. If you believe you can do something or you don't believe you can do something, either way, you're going to be right. So if you remember, you are more powerful than you ever imagined. So start believing that. And then, once again, like we talked about a little bit earlier, remember, you get to do these things. It's fun. It's your privilege. You don't have to do a damn thing. You get to do these things. Now, start dreaming big, bold, wild, hairy visions. Okay. I have a vision. As someone who used to be really overweight, I want to see thousands of people lose weight in a healthy manner without drugs or surgeries. That's a big, crazy ass dream. And I don't know if I'm ever going to see it or not, but that's my dream. And I spend time every day working on making that happen and working on that dream. Another one of my dreams is I want younger people like your audience to learn what I learned without having to go through all the crap I went through to learn it. It's not necessary. You don't have to hit rock bottom to learn things. I mean, one of the first books I wrote, I put on the title of the book cover, it says, "This is the book I wish someone gave me 30 years ago." So you got all these things. Now, and first of all, before we go any further, I want to say something. Every single thing I'm talking to you, all of this is on my website for free. I have 7 books in this series that if you download them digitally, they are all available for free. I have videos on many videos on all these things I'm talking about. They are all there for free. They are my gift to you. You're welcome to use them. You can also contact me if you have questions. If you want to work with me privately, you can do that too, but that costs money. But that's why I make the books available for free, because you might not have money or you might not want to spend money or whatever. So I believe we all deserve to learn a lot of the things I've learned. And all the experiences I've been through that I put myself through. A lot of these things, I did it to myself. Believe it or not, I don't regret them because they were necessary for me to learn what I've learned to become the person I am today, who I like very much, and to have this knowledge to help other people. So I'm going to set a goal for you when you're listening, a real simple goal. 2 words. Remember these. Beat yesterday. Your goal is to be better today than you were yesterday. That's it. And to be better tomorrow than you were today. Simple goal. Just a little bit better. Beat yesterday. See, here's where the power comes in. I am at the very end of year 17 of beating yesterday. That's why the person I am today is nothing like the person I was 17 years ago, because by consistently getting a little bit better every day, you become something much greater over time. And realize you're going to have good days. You're going to have bad days. You're going to have bad days where you screw up. You're going to have days where you fall on your ass. You're going to have that. And that's okay. As long as you pick yourself back up and you keep going. That's where the power is. The power is in getting started and keeping going day after day, month after month, year after year, decade after decade. That's where the power becomes. And that's one of the things that keeps me going now. I sit there and I look at what I've done over the last 17 years. And it makes me say, what else is out there waiting for me to do that I haven't done yet, that I should do, that I can do? And that's why I haven't retired. A lot of you listening, you would probably love to be where I'm at right now. I'm 66. I could retire right now and take it easy for the rest of my life. I don't want to. I'm having fun. I want to help people. I want to keep going. Plus, I'm a believer that the minute I stop going is the minute I start dying. And as I told you before, I don't want to do that. So, so I keep going. So my suggestion is, first of all, go to my website. Let me tell you where it's at first. Okay. You want to go to my website at thewayofexcellence.com. Thewayofexcellence.com. You want to go there. It gets you started. It kind of takes you, it gives you multiple paths that you can follow to get started. What I'm suggesting to you, what we're talking about now, is you want to start with the way of you, where you go through three phases. First thing is you find you. Who are you? What are you? Then you go to becoming you, deciding what you want to be, and going through the phases to actually become that. Then once you've become that, you get into that third phase called optimizing you. How do you make it even better than what you are? That's the phase I'm in right now. You know, I'm already where I want to be, but I'm also not where I want to be. I want to be so much better than I am. See, that's the beauty. If you notice this system that I have, it's called the way of excellence. It is not called the way of perfection. All of this is available on the website. You can see all of this. It's not the way of perfection. And the reason why is the goal is not perfection. The goal is excellence. See, when you're going after perfection, first of all, you're probably never going to get there because none of us are perfect. But even if you get there, there's nowhere else to go. If you focus on excellence, no matter how good you are, you can always get better. That's where I'm at right now. I have what I want, but that also makes me, I want so much more. And I want to share that more. I'm not, that's another thing. When you start realizing how abundant your life is, you start wanting to share that abundance with others. Because I'm going to let you in on a simple truth. I am connected to you, and you are connected to me. All of us are connected. We are one. When I help you, I'm helping myself. When you help me, you're helping yourself. You see a homeless person on the street, if you give them some money or you give them some food, you're not only helping them, you're helping yourself. You're helping the world. And that's the kind of world I want to live in. And as Gandhi used to say, be the change you want to see in the world. Well, that's what I'm working on doing. I want the world to be a better place, so it starts with me. It starts with you. It starts with each and every one of us, all of us. Does that make sense?
Does perfectly, and I struggle to find a better definition than that. But before we wrap up, I am a firm believer that people fall into these problems because they don't fully understand what it is that draws them to them. And there's one thing particular with autopilot that I wanted to touch on, because everybody listening, and me and you both, will know people that have the intention to start good habits, but just can't quite get out of gear. Like, it's almost like they can't get out of autopilot off the runway. What is it that draws them to autopilot? Because in my opinion, I don't see it as laziness, which might be the easy answer.
First of all, it's several things. I've identified 4 factors about it. And let's talk about all 4 of these and go through them. These are parts of my system. First one is willingness. You have to be willing to do what it takes every day for the rest of your very long, hopefully very healthy life. You have to be willing. But as I said before, you don't have to do anything. You get to be willing. And the reason why is real simple rule here. And I've learned this the hard way. Temporary change is going to give you temporary results. Permanent change is going to give you permanent results. So if you go into it saying that I'm going to, this is temporary, everything's going to fall apart and it's not going to last. It's just that simple. It's changing who you are literally for the rest of your life. But that again is where all the power is. The second one is belief. People don't believe it. I find this with people with weight loss a lot all the time. I find it with alcoholics. I find it with people who've had lots of failure in their lives. They don't believe that they can change. They don't believe that they can do something. Well, I told you before, you are more powerful than you ever imagined. Look, if you even have to bullshit yourself, start telling yourself that. You are more powerful than you ever imagined. When you're sitting there for your 15 minutes every day, tell yourself, I can do this. I am more powerful than I ever imagined. I am more powerful than I ever imagined. I am more powerful than I ever imagined. People talk about affirmations, and a lot of people say affirmations are crap. Well, I'm going to share with you a funny little story. I had an audio tape, believe it or not, a cassette tape, showing my age here. Okay. A cassette tape that I've since digitized so that I still have it. It was a program called Slim Forever. And you listen to the program, it's 30 minutes and it's full of affirmations on things like the healthiest of foods will explode with flavor in your mouth. I can do this, I can do that, I will eat this, I will do that. And I listened to it. And when I first started listening to it, I didn't listen to it every day. I didn't listen to it religiously. But somewhere along the way, I kept going back to it. And here's the funny part is now, when I picked up that tape, it was actually probably in the 1990s. So it was probably 30 years ago. And I go back and I listen to it. Every single thing in that tape I've done. Every single thing. And I maybe didn't believe it at the time. I made to do whatever, but I'll be damned. Every single thing it said, I did. So start telling yourself, even including learning to like vegetables. You could never get me to eat that stuff. My best friend, when we were growing up, he would try to get me to eat a tomato. And I wouldn't eat a tomato. The last time I saw him a couple of months ago, I sat there eating a salad in front of him and we're both laughing our ass off while I'm sitting there eating it because I never would have eaten that when we were kids. So tell yourself this. Over time, you will learn to believe it. That is where the power is. Remember what I said before. If you believe you can or you believe you can't, either way, you're right. Now, third thing, discipline. And I'm not talking about punishment. I'm talking about self-discipline. I'm talking about identifying what your habits are, identifying your good habits, identifying your bad habits, breaking your bad habits. Me, drinking scotch every day. Do you think drinking scotch every day was a good habit? Hell no. Do you think drinking scotch every day got me where I wanted to be? No. Instead, it numbed my life and it made a lot of the things I was going through easier, but it didn't get me where I wanted to go. So it had to go. And I just threw it away. I literally, the last day I quit drinking, I took a whole big bottle of scotch and I poured it down the toilet. See, sometimes there's symbolism in what you're doing. That was my symbolism. I didn't say I'm going to finish drinking this bottle and then quit. I said, I'm going to take this bottle I have right now and I'm going to throw it down the toilet because that's where it belongs. Now, breaking your old negative habits. I used to sit on my ass all the time on the couch. Well, that's got to go. So I started walking, then coming up with new habits, positive habits. Okay. I said, I need to start eating healthier food. So the first thing I did was I started learning about nutrition. What is healthier food? Go to my website. I've got a lot of information about nutrition because I think even if you're skinny as a rail, healthy nutrition is still important. You know, you need to put healthy fuel into your body. You need to put healthy thoughts into your head. You need to hang around healthy people, all those things. So I started learning about that. And then I said, okay, I need to start eating these things. So I started eating these things. I said, I need to start walking every day. Well, to form the new habit, I started putting my clothes on my nightstand every night before I went to sleep. They were there. And when I get up in the morning, the first thing I would do is I'd put those clothes on. I'd go to the other room and stretch. And then I'd start walking. Either I'd go outside or I'd go to the gym or I had a treadmill in the other room, but I would do something every day. Now, this gets to what you were saying, like everybody else. I had days where I didn't want to do it. I was not motivated. See, that's why I don't like motivation. Okay, this is already January 26th. How many people joined a gym at the beginning of the year and have already stopped going? Or if they haven't quit by now, they'll quit by the end of March. Motivation is not where it's at. Motivation wears off. It's impossible to stay motivated all the time. Discipline is what keeps you going, what takes over. So you know what I started telling myself? I remembered a woman that I met in 2007. This was 2 years before I started my journey. I met her in 2007. She lived in Honolulu, Hawaii. Her name was Peggy Chun. She had Lou Gehrig's disease, ALS. She was on a ventilator. She could not speak. She could not walk. She couldn't get out of bed. Now, when I saw her, and the only way she could communicate was people would hold up an eye chart and they could read her eye movements. She could spell out words. That's how she communicated. So now, when I looked at her, I said, man, if I ever get like that, take a pillow and put it over my head and take me out, please. But that's not what she said. This woman who could not speak, who could not stand up and walk, who could not move, had the most incredible joy for life. She told me, my grandkids are coming over later today. We're going to get in the car and we're going to go out to the park and we're going to go paint. It's a beautiful day. And all this stuff. So when I started telling myself, when I had mornings, I didn't want to get out of bed. You ever heard the saying, what would Jesus do? I started saying, what would Peggy Chun do if she could? And the answer is Peggy Chun would have gotten her lazy ass out of bed and she'd have walked out that door and gone for a walk, and she might not ever come back because she was having such a good time. So I turned that into motivation, and I said, look, I'm grateful that I can walk. Yeah, my legs might hurt, or I might be tired, or I might not feel like it, but I can walk. I can get out of bed. Peggy Chun can't. Go walk. If you are still alive, you can do things. One of my older brothers who died at the age of 60 from heart problems, who was massively overweight, he can't do it anymore. He's dead. He's gone. He can't do it. You're still alive. I'm still alive. I can do it. That's why my daily routine is insane. I sit there. Would you believe me if I told you for the last 400 days, that's all of last year and going into the year before, I have walked a half marathon or more every day. That's nuts. And you know why I do it? Because I want to see what I can do. I can do it. Geez, I'm 66 years old. I mean, I'll give you an example. Okay. This is how much walking I did last year. Imagine I started in Los Angeles. I almost made it to London. London is about 5,400 miles away. I ended up somewhere in the middle of the Atlantic. So I had to start swimming. But the point is, that's what I did. And that's at the age of 66. When I started walking 17 years ago, I had trouble walking 2 or 3 blocks. Well, this is how much walking I've done in the last 17 years. I've gone 30% of the way to the moon. That's 72,000 miles. That is insane. But I do it because I can and because I enjoy it and I have fun. So when I tell you that you are more powerful than you ever imagined, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about you being able to make your life just slightly better. I'm talking about you being able to create an incredible, powerful, wonderful life for yourself. We live in a crazy, mixed up world right now that is also the most incredible place you ever could imagine, that is full of the greatest potential you could ever imagine. But it's all up to us, each and every one of us. Our governments aren't going to fix our problems. Now, I don't care what you believe politically anywhere. The governments are not going to fix the problems. It's us, the people, deciding we want a better world. We want to have better lives for ourselves. This is what we want to do. This is the life we want to create. And then starting to create it and working together. And I believe we're already in the process of doing that. But it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take time, patience. Remember, I told you, learn to think long term. And I mean really long term. For someone who's 20, 30 years old, maybe even 40, you're thinking about the next 5 minutes. Well, I'm telling you, think about your next 50 years. Think about your next 75 years. For all you know, by the time you get to be that old, people might be living to be 100 years old, 110, 120. That may be normal. Start planning things, thinking things, being patient, deciding what you want, going for it. That's where the power is. That's where the beauty is. And don't be afraid of it. Embrace it. Love it. Be glad for it. Just get started. Be better today than you were yesterday. Beat yesterday. Be better tomorrow than you are today. And just keep going. And over time, you will blow your mind away by what you're able to accomplish. I can promise you that.
Amazing. So just before this is the end of the episode, before we wrap up, hold up your little card and tell people where they can find you.
Okay. Right here, thewayofexcellence.com. Thewayofexcellence.com. Just go to the website. All my books are there digitally for free. You can put them on your tablet. You can put them on your phone. You can do all that. And there's tons of videos. You like videos? Watch the videos. It explains the whole system. This is what the system is, the way of excellence. It explains the whole thing and go for it. Go kick some butt.